Here, you can make up your own Tarzan and Jane story. At the end of each story segment, it's up to you to choose what happens next. If you want to hear your choices again, click on the curved arrow in the lower right corner of the screen. And if you want to exit the story, click on the X in the other corner. To get started, select the arrow in the center. Good luck!
Every once in a while, the excitement of life in the jungle takes a turn toward the routine. Take today. Turk is fishing in her favorite stump. The professor is busy at work in his lab. Ouch! And Tarzan is helping Jane adjust to life in the jungle. Routine. But one thing is out of the ordinary. Jane. She seems to be feeling a little out of her element lately. I guess this place can be overwhelming sometimes. And I know Jane doesn't want to feel like a burden to Tarzan. Of course, Tarzan will always be there to protect her. But as my buddy Turk always says, there's only so many times you can pull somebody out of the mud. As well as Jane is adapted to life in the jungle, sometimes she's as clumsy as an elephant, figuratively speaking, of course. But Tarzan doesn't mind. In fact, he'd be at her side right now if not for that plume of smoke there in the distance. Smoke. Did I say smoke? Oh, wait. Where there's smoke, there's more smoke. And where there's more smoke, there's fire, and fire is no friend to the jungle. What do you think Tarzan should do? Rush to investigate the fire? Or help Jane out of the mud? Oh, I can't look. Tell me when it's over. Aren't you a softie? Tarzan, always a gentleman of the jungle, swings down to help his beloved Jane out of the mud. You know, being stuck in a mud puddle is a far cry from the life Jane knew in London. Oh, there, she was a pro at knowing when to use a teaspoon, a soup spoon, or even a straw. Yet, she could tell you everything you ever wanted to know about the prickly-backed swamp toad, as long as she didn't have to touch one. And she hobnobbed with important people and talked about important things like, fashion. But here in the jungle, Jane is Mrs. Tarzan, and Mrs. Tarzan has more important topics to deal with, such as trying to not fall in the mud. Jane hasn't seen the fire in the distance yet, and Tarzan isn't sure what to do. He could take Jane to investigate the fire with him. It might be useful to have her around, or it might be a better idea to take her back to the treehouse. She doesn't seem to be in the mood for adventure. Gee, what should Tarzan do? Seize the day. No time like the present, I always say. Tarzan and the missus swing, swoop, zip, zap, and boogie their way through the jungle as fast as they can. We all know that Jane's not as swift as the big T, but she's learning fast. After a while, they realize they've never been this far from the treehouse before. Unfamiliar territory. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like... You smell something? I took a bath, so it's not me, so forget about that. It's smoke. And where there's smoke, well, there goes Tarzan. They soon discover the ruins of an ancient city that neither knew existed. And it won't exist much longer with those flames. Quick, everybody, panic! Tarzan and Jane charge into the city as buildings tumble to the ground all around them. Tarzan thinks they should try to get the fire under control. Jane thinks they should check to see if anyone needs help. Gosh, they're both real good ideas, but what should Tarzan do? Try to put out the fire or look for people who might need help? Oh, I don't know how you're gonna decide this one. Well, nicely done, the noble choice. Tarzan and Jane search the city, looking for people who might need help. Little do they know, they're the ones who are going to need help. Tarzan and Jane eventually come to a room fit for a king. Nice digs. Suddenly, they find themselves surrounded by 100 strange creatures that are part man, part leopard, and all bad. A woman appears and introduces herself as Queen La. She apologizes for startling them and explains that they don't get many visitors. But there's no explaining the leopard men, who are obviously not housebroken. But anyway, Tarzan urges the queen to flee. After all, the building's on fire. Queen La just laughs and says it's all part of her plan to get a hero to come and rescue her. She bangs her staff on the floor. Instantly, the flames go out. Neat trick. Then, like magic, all the buildings start to rebuild themselves. Even neater trick. La welcomes them to the lost city of Opar and offers to show them around. Now, is it just me, or is something fishy going on around here? What should Tarzan do? Decline the invitation and return home? Or be friendly and accept Queen La's invitation? Ooh, that's a tough call. Thanks, but no thanks. Maybe next time. Tarzan passes on the Queen's invite, but then she explains that it wasn't an invite, but an order. Without warning, the leopard men pounce on Tarzan and Jane. Tarzan tries to hold them off, while Jane decides to shed a little light on the subject with the chandelier. Bullseye! That Jane. She comes up with a good one every now and then. Tarzan and Jane are just about to escape when the Queen pulls out her last magic trick. She slams down her staff and the floor splits apart. Tarzan and one of her leopard men tumble into the gaping chasm. They're underwater. But fortunately, water is Tarzan's element. He breaks free and tries to swim for it. But things just went from bad to big, slimy, and toothy. An enormous sea serpent emerges from the murky depths and grabs the leopard man. What should Tarzan do? Should he swim to the surface as fast as he can? Or should he turn around and try to help the leopard man? Oh, I can't stand it. Tell me when you've decided. Helping others. There is no better quality in a person. Tarzan turns back and rescues the leopard man from the clutches of the sea serpent. Unfortunately, while doing so, he gets tangled by the cagey creature of the deep himself. Now the tables are turned, and Tarzan is the one in need of rescue. But one good turn deserves another, and the leopard man is there to save the day. The Queen of Mean can't believe her minion would help Tarzan. So, the moment he emerges from the water, bam! She turns the poor schlub into dust. Ouch! Now you know that's gotta hurt. The Queen begins to aim her wrath at Jane, when guess what? Tarzan's back, just in the nick of time, that's what! Jane smashes the scepter into 1,000,000 pieces, and a brilliant red light shoots out all around. Magically, all the leopard men turn back into normal leopards. Whatever spell they were under has worn off. The Queen can't believe her power has been taken away. Talk about a bad day. Then she turns to dust and crumbles to pieces. Sweep that under the rug. Clean up on aisle 1. Unfortunately, she's not the only thing turning to dust. The city ain't doing too well either. Huge buildings fall apart. Statues tumble to the ground. Get out of there. She's gonna blow. Tarzan, Jane, and all the leopards flee into the jungle, making it with only seconds to spare. Whew! That was tense. Back in the safety of the jungle, Tarzan and Jane get some hang time on the vines together. She may not be as comfortable in the jungle as Tarzan is, but take it from me, she's gonna be just fine.